Hello and welcome to Sheepdog Says. This is episode number 5, and I thought today I've gone 5 episodes without mentioning the P word, Pokemon. So after a drive home with my son, where we nipped out maybe for 5 minutes I went out to get him, and I thought I'll nip out for 5 minutes to get some Pokemon, and 45 minutes later we came rolling home, having caught the best part of, 10 different ones that we either didn't have or we needed and that sort of thing. I thought, well, I'm going to talk about it. It's time to talk about it. It's been 5 episodes. It's got to be done. It's who I am, damn it. So yeah, anyone who knows me at all knows that I'm a big fan of the old Pokemon. Been a fan since the very beginning. I got Pokemon Blue, then Yellow, then sort of everything else from then on, really. I think the only generation that I missed out on was the Black and White generation, which I got, but I think that was just the bit between being a kid with loads of disposable income as like a teenager or whatever to maybe settling down with my wife and having kids. I think it's only when my son came along that I've had the legitimate excuse to get back into it. And obviously Pokemon Go has taken over the world and our entire lives. Now, the thing I wanted to talk about most, I think, today was just we're at the end of the Rayquaza event. The Big Green Dragon is here till Friday. And then they're going to have to do something new with the game. I'm hoping there's sort of talk about there being quests in the game. There's code in there now to add in stories and that kind of thing. And the biggest thing I kind of want them to do is to bring in Team Rocket. In my mind, I've got how I want this to play out. I want to wake up at some point next week. Or whenever they decide to do it. But eventually I want to wake up one day and I want all the Pokemon gyms to be black. So normally they're either silver if they're empty, silvery white, or they're yellow, or they're blue, or they're red, depending on what team's in them. But I want to wake up and find that all of them have turned black. And then obviously, as the gamer, me, I want to be like, oh, what's going on here? So I want to press it. I want to see that they've been taken over by a Team Rocket. I want to be, confronted by a Team Rocket grunt, and the game to be that you've got to basically fight them and reclaim control of the gyms. I don't want it to be easy, though. I don't want it to be, I beat a grunt and the gyms are back. I think that what they need to do is need to make a fully fledged story out of it. You start off at the grunt level. I want to be able to basically drive around at my leisure and do this as part of, an aside to the rest of the game. Like most mobile apps, the game at the moment is heavily around timings and, waiting for a spawn or waiting for a gym and being in the right place at the right time. But I want to be able to go gym surfing, basically, from gym to gym to gym, fighting different levels of grunt, leveling up through the story, having more interactions. I want to get to a point where people from the cartoons and the films and the general story, the manga that's there, come into it. I want to be able to fight Jesse and James and Meowth. And I think there should be a point where you get to the end and you're basically fighting Giovanni, the big boss man, because, that's a massive part of Pokemon that's just not involved in it yet. And anyone who started playing it, like most of the people I know who started playing it that aren't like me and still into it, basically got into it because it reminded them of Gen 1 when they played back in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000. People like me who, I think I was 13 or 14 and was doing my paper round, and I'd be collating all the little adverts into the newspapers while Pokemon was on, and I'd finish and I'd nip out and dump them all in a bin and then go back and in time for Simpsons. They're all remembering that era and thinking, yeah, I love that. Now it's gone on to Gen 2 and Gen 3. I've even got hardcore friends who play it all the time who are saying, what the hell is that Pokemon? I don't, that's awful. I don't like this. I don't like that. I'm not interested in this. And it's starting to get to a point where they're playing it because we've got a group and they're enjoying the app, but they've not really got anything familiar anymore that gets them into it. And I just think Team Rocket seems like the obvious choice. It shouldn't be that hard to add in either. Again, I make these bold assertions that, I'll just code it in. And I did with my video yesterday about Mario and Sonic crossover, and I'm saying, yeah, just code it in, swap it all around, New Game Plus. But I imagine it's a bit more complicated than that. But in this instance, they've already got the gyms, they've already got the avatars. If I go to a gym now and there's 6 players in there, I will defeat them one by one, and I can go to another gym and I can play against those people. And really, there's nothing stopping me just fighting other people. But I want a bit of a story to it. I want an end game, a bit of a prize. I want to be able to fight them all and then, I don't know, unlock a mythical Pokemon. At the moment, they've got a thing called an EX raid where you basically have to fight at a specific gym. You have to be lucky, and if you basically if I go to the local park, fight there 10 times, and loads of other people fight there 10 times, and it has a completed fight count of 50 or something random, we don't know the exact numbers, then they may pick that as a gym to do an EX raid, and they may invite you to that EX raid. And an EX raid is where you would get Mewtwo and other, well, at the moment it's just Mewtwo, but the plan I think is to bring other special Pokemon in later on. I'd hate that if they did that for every special Pokemon, because at the moment they've not got Mew in the game, they've not got all the kind of future ones like Celebi and Deoxys and things like that. They're not in the game yet, and just to have them all be this potluck, get an invitation if you're playing it enough the way we want you to, then that's not going to be fun. I think I figured out how I researched on the internet how it was done at the right time. I happened to get my son and myself an invitation to a Mewtwo raid, and we did it and we caught it. But trying the lengths we had to go to, we specifically altered the way we were playing the game to enable us to win that invitation. And I don't want to have to do that every time. I want to be able to kind of say to him, right, let's nip out and do a couple of Team Rocket missions, and just see what's what. I think it'd be a great opportunity for characters like Jesse and James to have all of the Pokemon they had in the first 3 series. Considering there's 3 generations out, they'd probably be able to put a team together of decent enough Pokemon, and it'd be fun. I'd be able to show my son what they had. He's seen most of the old cartoons. He'll probably recognise it himself. And I just think that's got a lot of mileage then, because then in future they could even add in new gym features. So in the games you would basically go to the Rock gym and you'd fight Brock's family, and then you'd fight Brock, and then you'd get your gym badge saying that you were able to fight and compete against like the Rock type gym. And then you'd go to Mister's gym and you'd fight her family. And again, I think that's something that they could add in easily enough. It would get me out doing it easily. I mean, if they said to me, right, you have to go and do 7 increasingly more difficult battles against Brock, and then you can move on, I think, honest to God, it'd probably take me a weekend, because I'd be so into it. I'd just be so, get in the car, bring a tent, we're going, and my son and I would just head off. It would be like actual Pokemon, because we would just head off into the wilderness, see what we can catch, and just get all the gym badges. I feel like this must be coming. It must be, because whilst the game's not as popular as it was, say, a year ago, or even 18 months ago, because it's been out nearly 2 years now, I think they'd still be able. There's still millions of people playing worldwide, and so they could easily do the gyms. They could easily do the Pokemon League that they had in the original series. I want to be like Ash Ketchum, spoiler alert, getting to the quarterfinals or whatever it was he got to, and then having an angry Pokemon just completely stitch him up and ruin him. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to say, right, I've got like 8 gym badges. I've defeated Team Rocket and saved so many different gyms. I've caught so many of these things, and now I'm in the big leagues. Oh, I've been knocked out in the first round by someone bigger and better than me. I hope, I would like to think that I'd probably do okay. I've got some friends, well, a lot of friends who are much better at this, and have much better teams. But a part of me even wonders right now, what's the incentive for those great teams unless I'm able to get into a league against them? I want to be punished for the fact that some of my friends have gone out and gone above and beyond and made sure they've got really, really strong Pokemon. Whereas I'm kind of thinking, well, all that translates to right now is just being able to hit a gym slightly quicker. Basically, if I'm up against Mewtwo or Rayquaza or something like that, it might take me 20 taps on the screen to kill it, but it will take them 19, and that's kind of like, well, big deal. I can right now there's no real bonus to having this ultra team, other than, I guess, if there's one less person there when they're doing a raid, they're more likely to finish it, but I don't really get involved in them unless I'm going to finish them anyway. But I think in a player v player tournament, they could set that up quite easily. They could have a local tournament. It could be meet up online. I mean, the game's all about leaving the house and going elsewhere, but ultimately adding in a matching system and saying, right, you're gonna battle in the league at this point makes sense to me. And then you can have like if they really planned it, you could have regionals, nationals, you know, internationals, and whatever. You know, it kind of just goes until we have a proper champion who's the very best. I mean, it means I can't then officially tell my son that we're masters, which I have been. You know, I've convinced him we are. You know, we've basically got 320 odd to three. I've got about 350 Pokemon now. You know, by the definition of the TV show, we're frigging masters, damn it. But I think they need to add in these features. I want gyms. I want Team Rocket. I want to be able to battle these people. I think it'll be awesome. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover off today. There is going to be an announcement on Pokemon Go on Friday, I believe. Well, sometime this week, we're expecting it. The Rayquaza raid ends on Friday. The double experience event ends on Friday. So if you're playing it at all, or you've not realised it's on right now, there's a double experience, meaning every time you catch something or basically get some experience points, you get twice as many. There's special items on. There's a windy weather event. That means Pokemon that appear in windy weather are more likely to come out at the moment, which is a shame because it's pretty much windy and rubbish here anyway. So I think we'd have got that either way. But yeah, it's quite. They've got a lot of events ending on Friday. So for that to happen, for that to be the case, they're going to have to announce something quite big coming up. You know, it'd be mad for them to just let it go off the edge of the cliff on Friday and not have anything. I feel like they get a bit of a bad rap for not really thinking about the players, not really thinking about communication and whatnot. But actually, Niantic, the team behind the game, what other game have I played this excessively in my life? Really, I can't think of one. You know, I could reference a couple of mobile games like Simpsons Tapped Out, but even then, it's like it's just there. It's just an app. It's not. I don't have any kind of feeling towards it. I wouldn't get in my car and drive across town to do anything in that game. I wouldn't go out for long walks to play that game. Whereas this game has, you know, made me actual friends. It's given me stuff to talk about. There's so much stuff to it, and I just feel like, yeah, if they do that a little bit more, it takes it from superb to, I don't know, sublime. What's better than sublime? I can't think of any better words. I need a dictionary. But yeah, that's just what I want to see. I'm hoping they do something big with this. They've said they've got something like 2 more big features for the year. They brought out weather changes earlier in the year. I'm trying to think what else. I suppose they brought out a new generation, but they've said they've got 2 big changes coming up at some point, which they hope will massively change the game. And I'm just hoping it's Team Rocket. They did add a Team Rocket costume in earlier this year. I think you spend coins on it, so that's a hint that they exist in the universe behind this game. So yeah, fingers crossed that's what we get. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see from the game. If you're still playing it, let me know your username on it. We can't add you, so I suppose that's not relevant. But if they ever do play a player, I'd really like to start playing against people. Maybe if I can figure out how to do it, I'll do some screen caps of the fights. Even that'd be awesome. But yeah, let me know what you think. Subscribe as always. Hit like. Give me some comments. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow.